name's Theo, and I help young men use weightlifting to build a physique that they can be proud of. So maybe right now you're grinding hard in the gym, but you still look small. Maybe your muscles are actually growing, but whenever you try and go for a heavy PR, like let's say bench press, for example, you just kind of fail at it. You haven't really been increasing the weight of your bench press, for example. And maybe you're working super hard in the gym. Maybe you're doing lots of sets with lots of weight, or you're trying a lot of different exercises, but you still look small. Maybe your frame just hasn't really bulked up. Maybe when you look at yourself in the mirror, your figure is still kind of skinny. It lacks definition. It lacks size. So what's causing this is probably what kind of exercises you're doing. Today I'm going to show you my top 7 exercises for gaining strength, size, and aesthetics as a beginner in the gym. Now these exercises that I'm going to go over are pretty much classics. They're staples of the weightlifting scene. I still use them, the pros still use them, everybody uses them. So you're pretty much going to be using these for the rest of your fitness journey. So it's probably a good idea if you start to familiarize yourself with them as early as you can. Now the first exercise is something called T-bar rows. Now these work the upper and the lower back, pretty much the entirety of the back. They add a lot of thickness to the back compared to width. So you're going to have a nice, defined, thick-looking back after you do a whole bunch of T-bar rows. Plus they're also good for the traps, and they also kind of improve your posture because of the awkward bent over form that you have while you do them. Also, if you're interested in building your dream physique with my help, you can go to my 1-to-1 high-ticket exclusive fitness coaching. The link to that is in the description. I'll see you there if you're interested. The second exercise is probably something that you're familiar with. It's called pull-ups. So what pull-ups do is basically you got your hands out, right? It's almost like you have your palms facing outward, and they're holding onto this horizontal bar. And what happens when you pull yourself up is that your latissimus dorsi, or the lats as they're colloquially called, are worked. So these really help with doing the lat spread. You got to build kind of those muscles that fan out from the side of your body, in kind of this V shape, right? Developing the lats are very important for developing what's called the V taper, which is basically the keystone for an aesthetic body. So definitely start incorporating those into your back day or into your pull day starting today, I'd say. The next one's a little bit more obscure, and if you're into the bodybuilding scene, you might have not seen this as much. It's called the clean and press. Now, the clean and press is an Olympic weightlifting movement where basically you have this bar that, first of all, you deadlift it, right? You pick it off up the ground, bring it up to your collarbone area by cleating it, so that's like snatching it up, kind of shrugging it up, and then forcing your elbows under it so that you have the bar right at your shoulders like that, and then you press it up with kind of like a shoulder press movement. So that's primarily going to work your lower back as well as your traps, and most importantly, your front deltoids, or just your deltoids in general, because of the upwards pressing movement. Now, in that Olympic movement, in that clean and press, the weakest muscle by far that you're using is your delts. So the amount of weight that you're going to be using for the clean and press really isn't going to be any problem or much of a problem for your lower back for the deadlifts or for your traps on the shrugs to handle. It's all going to be in your delts. That determines how much weight you do and how many reps you do with it. So if you have the space for it, if you have the equipment for it, definitely start incorporating the clean and press into your routines today. You have my word that you're not going to regret doing so. So the clean and press, above all of the other exercises I list here, is going to give you a really nice upper body. So your traps and your delts and your delts are going to be super well developed after you do a whole lot of these. Now the next one is the classic deadlift. So this is just a classic for strength building and bodybuilding in general. It works primarily the hamstrings and the lower back. That's what we're trying to target with this exercise. But above that, it also works the quads, the abs, and even the traps, and even like the biceps to an extent. So this might even qualify as like a whole body exercise, but deadlifts work pretty much everything. So because I don't really have any other hamstring exercises or hamstring isolation exercises in this list, I recommend that you instead do a variation of the deadlift that isolates the hamstring. So a stiff-legged deadlift will be good in this situation, or probably even better would be the Romanian deadlift. So if you're going to start doing deadlifts in your routine, I recommend you start doing the Romanian version. Now, the next one is probably the most important exercise, maybe of all time, but it is the barbell squat. Now, squats have an infinite amount of benefits, probably. They work your quads primarily and your glutes if you're going for a heavier squat. Now, these are excellent. These are just excellent for thickening and rounding out the lower part of your body, so giving you nice legs. And if you don't have nice legs, then you don't have a nice physique. They help for building raw strength and even increasing your sprint speed. So you're actually going to be running faster at top speed if you start doing like heavy squats. Plus, they just strengthen your lower body in general, and who doesn't like that? That has an infinite amount of uses. If you have stronger legs, you can pretty much be stronger at any physical activity, right? Now, Mark Rippetoe, the starting strength guy, even says that they have mental benefits for you. People who do squats, they're more calm, they're more collected, they're more organized in their mind, they're tougher, they're harder to kill even. So yeah, definitely start doing squats today and your future self will thank you. Now, the next one might be a little controversial, but it's the incline bench press. And what this does is it not only works your chest, but it specifically works your upper chest and your front deltoids. Now, I recommend incline bench because we're going to be supersetting this with the chest dip, which is going to be working your lower pecs. So we have two exercises now for the chest. We have one for the upper and one for the lower. So if you start doing both of those on your chest day starting today, you're going to get a really nice round, full-looking chest compared to the guys who just do push-ups or to the guys who just do flat bench press, who kind of have like this kind of like saggy look to their pecs, because the upper part of their pecs, like right here, right, that's not really developed. It's not really rounded out. So the only way you're really going to get like a bodybuilder, Arnold Schwarzenegger looking chest is if you do incline bench along with other lower chest movements. Also, make sure that the bars that you're using for chest dips are parallel, and if you stand up and you put your arms to the side of you, they should be about that width apart, right? Any wider apart, and you're gonna have to like kind of force your arms up to accommodate for the distance, and you're gonna start working your triceps more than you're gonna start working your lower chest. So that's pretty important. So that's all the exercises for this video, but you might be saying, well, I need more exercises to really look super aesthetic. Like, for example, I didn't really include any exercises that include the side delts and the rear delts, which can only really be done using a handful of certain exercises, or the neck muscles even, to give you a thick looking neck, right? So what I would recommend that you do in those situations is that you start using these 7 compound movements, and like pretty much these 7 only, to start building a very big amount of mass, at least for a couple months. Start doing every single one of these movements within their appropriate day, within your routine, and then after you master the form for them, after you start building real muscle and real strength for them, once your PR for each of them starts going up, then you can start doing isolation work like lateral raises, neck curls, bicep curls, triceps extensions, stuff like that. Because it's so paramount and it's so important that you know how to do the tougher, more complex compound movements that are really going to give you like the 80% results of your physique before you move on to the smaller minutia of really trying to round out your physique, to fine comb it with these isolation exercises. So yeah, just do these compound movements for at least a couple months until you really get them down pat. You're probably also wondering right now about what exercises you should do for abs. Now, there's this funny phenomenon where your abs get a super big workout if you do a whole bunch of compound movements within one day. Now, what a compound movement is, I should mention this, but it's basically where you're using a whole bunch of different muscle groups to do one exercise. So for example, bench press, squat, deadlifts, rows, those are all compound movements because they work so many muscles, right? And how your abs benefit from this is that your abs are also included in the muscle groups that are worked with these compound movements. So if I do 10 sets of squats, for example, that's a lot of squats for a beginner, but if I do 10 sets of squats within my workout, my abs are going to be basically contracting to keep the bar stable every time I go down. And let's say if I do 10 sets of 10 reps, so that's 100 squats in one routine, right? If I do 100 squats, where every time I'm going down, and let's say every eccentric movement, I think it's called, of my squat, every time I'm going down, that takes 2 seconds for me to reach the floor before I come back up again. Within those 2 seconds, my abs are going to be contracting like mad because they're going to be trying to stabilize the bar. Now, that's 200 seconds in one workout of those 10 sets of 10 squats that I'm doing, that my abs are getting a pretty decent workout. Now, combine that with a whole bunch of different exercises, and you get a pretty mean ab workout without actually doing any real ab work. So you can add some crunches, you can add some bicycle crunches, you can add some flat leg raises or whatever crazy ab exercises people are doing nowadays into that routine. But just like before, I would recommend using the compound movements and mastering those before you move on to isolation work. Now, what you can do after watching this video is to follow this outline, comment which exercise you've been neglecting down below, which ones you're starting, and which ones worked best for you. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and check out my other videos on building muscle. They should be right here. See ya.